So for today, if you're solving for A, you need to get rid of this, and then A will be almost alone. And then you could divide by 4, but matrices can't be divided. Once I get rid of this, which won't be that hard, right? You're just going to have to add that matrix to both sides. Then you're going to not divide by 4 because you can't divide. What could you multiply by to get that 4 off of there? Multiply by 1/4, that would work. Okay, so everybody start with adding that matrix to both sides of the equation. Adding 2, 2, 2, 4. Adding 2, 2, 2, 4. And that just cancels that because they're opposites. 4a is left. And if I add these, this will go quick. 6 and the 2 makes 8. 10 and 2 is 12. 14 and 2 is 16. 16 and 4 makes 20. That's pretty quick. So how am I going to get this 4 off of there? Hint, matrices can't be divided. So, multiply by 1/4. You get multiplying by 1/4, cancels off the 4. And multiplying by 1/4, we've done that. That's called scalar multiplying. We're just going to multiply here by 1/4. We on purpose made the numbers nice because they divide by 4 easy. Leah, what'd you get?
2.
And there you go. Raise your hand if you feel like you understood that. Okay, good. That's not that hard, is it? We aren't even going to do this one. I'm just going to ask you. He subtracted the matrix first. Would you agree with that statement? Yep. So you'd subtract this matrix first. And then the kid divided by 2. Nope, can't do that. Then the kid what? Multiplied by 1/2. That would get rid of that. And then it would be 1/2 times whatever it was after you had subtracted that from this. Yeah, those are pretty easy. All right, these are not so easy. And I started yesterday with doing this determinant thing and showing you how to do it by hand. Then I talked to my colleague, and last year they decided that it was too hard to do them by hand. So we're only going to find the inverses with a calculator. I don't think it was too hard, but I don't get to pick what's on the tests. I actually think it's a good thing that all the teachers have to agree on what the test is going to be. Otherwise, I might have given a harder test than the other teacher, and then it wouldn't really be fair. So all the teachers agree on what the test is on, and apparently they decided last year, nope, we're not going to make kids do these by hand. You can use the calc. Okay, so then, if you can use the calc, do you know what to multiply by here? And it's not this. That would give you the same thing back again. That wouldn't help anything. You remember that? That's called the identity matrix. That's good to know, but it wouldn't help in this problem. We got to do that inverse thing. So we need to take the inverse of this, and that inverse really means, like if I call this matrix A, that you want to find the inverse of it and put it right here. You've got a calculator. I showed you how to do it yesterday. Put this in as matrix A, and then figure out what the inverse is and put it here. All right, I'm going to pause for a sec while you furiously type away in your calculators and figure out what that inverse matrix would be. And then put it there. By the way, as you're putting this in, I have found that the kids that are doing caret, like a to the power of -1, that sometimes doesn't work on the older calculators. So the safest route is to find the key that does x to the negative 1 on it, and just hit that key. And that'll give you a little negative 1 right here, and then you will have your answer. If you get it, you'll have it up on your calculator, and I'm going to walk around and see who gets how to do this. If you don't get it, quickly ask the kid next to you for help, so I don't have to show you how to do it. I'll pause for a second. So that's better than I thought. Almost everybody knows that it was 1 and negative 0.5 and negative 0.5 and 0.5. Now, what does that do? I think a lot of people don't know what we just did. So you might even know that we found the inverse. But what does it do? When you multiply it here, show me. When you multiply it here, it knocks this out. And x and y will be alone. And then it'll be solved. Except you can't just do it to one side of the equation. You got it to the other side. And now watch the most common mistake. So I'm going to go put it here and multiply by the other matrix. No, it's backwards. This is important. Do you get how I put it on the left of this matrix? If you put it on the right of the matrix, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't turn into its inverse. It only works if you put it on the left. So you have to put this on the left. So you move the 1626 over to be the matrix on the right, and you put it in to the left of it. Are you getting this? This is really important. If you don't put it on the left side of it, it won't work. So now I know you're thinking, but Mr. Server, I'm going to be using a calculator, and so I just need to put it in the calculator. True, except you have to show your work. And now, again, this is the a to the negative 1 matrix, and this is a different matrix. You haven't even typed that in yet. Maybe we should call this matrix B, so that we can put a to the negative 1 times b, and that will be our final answer. This matrix is the A matrix to the negative 1 power, and this matrix we haven't put in yet. Is it a 2 by 1 or is it a 1 by 2? 2 by 1. It's a 2 by 1. Everybody go make the B matrix into 1626. And again, I'm going to walk past and ask you to show me that you have multiplied a to the negative 1 times b. Got to put the B matrix in. If you just got one number answer, can't be right. Okay, pro tip. This is what I should see on your screen right above the actual answer. A to the negative 1 times B matrix. And if you did that right, when you hit enter, you got a number answer in a little parenthesis. And that tells you what X and Y are. All right, I'll walk around and see if you got this.
Yep, you did it right. You did it right. What's going on?
You did something wrong. See, your B matrix is probably messed up. Get your B matrix. Edit it. See what you say. 16 and 26. Maybe it's not your B matrix. Okay, now go out of that. A. Get enter. No. Don't edit. Hit seconds quick. You want to get out of there. No.
It's probably our last actual day.
All right, you turn around. In this case, he knows how to do this. He did it right. Okay, can you compare yours with his?
Yeah.
My first one's 6x2. That's so high. Oh.
Good thing I got a case on him.
Yay! I did it!
Everything looks right. My guess is your P matrix is what you think it
She was
is.
6x2.
P matrix is.
Don't ask her.
That's weird.
If you.
Here's the looks totally right. It is not right.
That just happened.
You guys please try to compare your calculators, because looks like it's right to me. But somehow it's completely wrong.
Why did you choose false?
Matrix, go back and look at that. Help each other out.
Well, actually, why do you have two false?
Hey, nice job. Yep.
Should I put this on?
That's, are you trying to make a P matrix?
That's what I do.
Yeah, that's that one.
The case is nasty.
Yeah, it's an old ass case.
Why do you have two false?
So if you type that and you don't have to negative.
It's easier on Apple, getting an Apple pen. Still set up an Apple.
Hey. Almost everybody had it. Final answer was 3-5. Now let's talk about what that means. Look at the original problem. We were trying to figure out x and y, and the answer came out to 3-5. It would look like this. It was all simplified down. X, y came out to 3-5. And if you can't put that together, that x must be 3 and y must be 5, that'd be pretty sad. What is that? That's the solution to a system of equations. So let's show you an example of a typical question. Now that is not a typical question. Let me just show you. This, if you wanted to solve this, you would do the inverse of this on both sides. I don't feel like this is worth wasting more time on. This is a great slide. Go to this one, slide 4. Do you get how the original system has an x and a y, and there are 2 equations there? 2 equations. You could solve that system. Now there's more than one way to do this by hand, but this is a pretty cool way to do it with your calculator. So the first thing you do is make matrices around them. See, rewrite with matrices, basically brackets around them. And you keep the x's above the x's and the y's above the y's. Then you strip out the x's and the y's and you just leave what are called the coefficients. Do you get that this 2 and this 1 came from, there was a 2 here and there was be a 1 there? And this 5 and this 3 came from there and there? Do you understand how they set this up? Question?
Why is the x and y on the second part, like, next to each other, but then, like, in the matrices, like, up and down?
How about if I just ask you? Do you get what happened from here, from here to get here? Did that make sense to you?
Yeah.
All right. Now, if you just look at how it is written, do you get that this contains our 2 variables, and the x was on the top line, and the y is on the bottom line? Why? Because whatever was first here is going to go on top, and whatever's second, that's going to go on the bottom. And this can't have variables in it. Why can't it have variables in it? Because your calculator can't have variables in the matrix. So do you get we're getting it down to just numbers, which we can put in the calculator? Do you get where those came from now? All right, that's the main thing is if you get how to write your equation into matrices. Now, this is a matrix problem. This I would call matrix A, this I would call matrix B, and then you now know that you're going to want to times it by a to the negative 1 on both, and that'll be how you get your answer. So, do it. Type in the A matrix, type in the B matrix, and your problem will end with that times that, and then you'll get your answer. And you'll know what X and Y are. And pause while you give this a try. Okay, I got mine. Raise your hand if you got yours. All right, I will walk around. Make sure you got this. That was way better than I thought it was going to be. So, now I should be able to just actually skip that page, go to this one. See how it's a set of equations and all of a sudden there's no matrices? That is a typical test question. You have to write the matrices first. Then you got to put them in the calculator. Then you got to know how to do that inverse thing to solve it. So, take a second, and you know it's got to have numbers here, letters there, and the answer there. You saw like 3 of them set up like that. I bet you can do it. If you can't, I'll tell you how in a second. Give it a shot. Okay, so the first thing I'd do, watch an experienced person do this. I'd go put a 1 right there, just because I need a number. 1, negative 3, 2, 5. And I'd make sure my X's were lined up and my Y's, because do you get if these weren't lined up, this wouldn't work? And then X goes here and Y goes here. Magically, no, because the first number here has to, or the first letter that's there has to be on top. And then, last but not least, 4, negative 3. Did you set it up right? Cool. Then let's not even do too many of these. We'll just do this one. And then one more, and then we're done. And you just get to practice at that point. So again, in the big picture, this was the last day of matrices. Now it's just review tomorrow, test Monday. We don't have many Monday tests. Make sure you do a little bit of brush up this weekend. Always call this one matrix A, always call this one matrix B. That way you can just always do that at the end of your problem.
When your parents were well, maybe I want to not need to write 42. So be smart.
I'm watching how to draft better.
Anybody done yet?
Almost.
I'll come check you. I'll pause for a second. If you didn't get 1, negative 1, we should probably talk. You should probably come up and ask. The final answer to this came out to 1, negative 1. Now, just to clarify, what is that? 1, negative 1. What is that?
It's the solution.
It's the solution. It's and what letter goes with what? X is 1 and Y is negative 1. And that's a point. If you graph these, that's where they would cross. All right. So from the top, not this one because it's a little too easy because everything's all lined up nice. I picture us doing not that one, even though it's got 3 variables. No, wait, I actually do picture us doing this one. Okay, try to set this one up and hint, when there isn't any X, there must be 0 X's. So one of your equations has a 0. Or matrices. One of your matrices has a 0 in it. Now on this one, you don't even have to solve it. You just have to set it up. If you set it up right, I trust you guys know how to solve these now. So just see if you can set this up. Okay, it's a big matrix this time. Did you realize that there'd be X, Y, and Z?
Yeah.
I always put a slash through my Z's so they don't look like a 2. You're not required to do that. Okay, so then the numbers would be 1, 1, 4, 0, 2, and 5, and 3, 2, and 4. And then this at the end is the last matrix, 2, 4, -7, and then it's just always like always. That's A, that's B, and you'll have to do A to the -1. You'll always put it on the left, and times B, and there'll be your answer on the calculator. Okay, you don't have to even finish this thing. I think you got the idea. And look at this slide. We're not even going to do it. We're just going to look at it. You'd have to get all the X's and Y's to go over to the other side of the equation there. This one, Z, needs to come over to this side of the equation. Do you get what I mean by that? This equation, I would put the -4x over on the other side and make it a 4x minus 4y plus z equals 13. You need to look at that for a minute. Do you get how I turned this into this? Because I needed x first, and then y, and then z. This one is in order x, y, and z, so I can leave it alone. Just copying it. And this one just needs the z to come over, and it'll make it negative. It's like subtracting 2z from both sides. So then I have an x, I don't have any y's, and I have minus 2z equals 10. That's this equation has been rewritten to that. Okay, and this would be easy. It'd be 4, -4, 1, 1, 2, -2, and 1, 0, -2. X, Y, Z. 13, 10, 10.
Except for A.
Cool, we're done. Now, just for perspective, we got to review matrices, test is Monday, but then all you have left is some stats, and we don't even test on it.
What?
What?
We
We have
just
a-
put it into the final.
Okay.
So some of your finals questions will be about stats.
That's tough.
But that means this is literally then, this test
It's the last test.
is last normal test. Then after every 2 tests you have the cumulative, right? So you have this test, and then you get a chance, the cumulative is like retake, right? On the last 2 tests. A little bit of stats, which we don't test on, except for there's a couple questions on the finals. So this is really close to almost like the last normal test. Yes.
How many questions are gonna be on the final? Like 50? 40?
Fair question. I don't actually know the answer. I would say the answer is probably in the like low 30s. And then you do have 2 whole hours to do it. And then just a reminder, it's still graded Marzano style, which means if you can get 3/4 of the easy ones, and 3/4 of the hard ones, you've got an A. So there's not many finals where if you get a 75% on the whole thing, you got exactly 75% on the easy one, and exactly 75% on the hard ones, you get an A. Because that's how our system works. We usually have less problems than normal math tests would at the high school level. Normally a normal math test at the high school used to have like 35, 40 points. There's far less problems now because there's 4 hard ones that take up a lot of your time. They'd have a ton of little easy ones in the old days. So anyway, moral of the story, you can get 75% on your final and get an A. As long as you get exactly 75% of the easies and exactly 75% of the hards. Or obviously better than that. Yes?
How long are we gonna have to study for the final?
We will be having at least 3 days of full all-day review, at least, probably more. Okay, any other questions? All right, so we got a bunch of time to work. So today's, let's cut down the worksheet a bit. Everybody look at the worksheet. I think I just told you to do, like, was it odds or evens? I can't remember.
Odds, yeah.
Odds. All right. I'm pretty sure that in the directions today it'll say odds or even. I think it says odds. Okay, odds has been verified. You're doing the odd problems on today's. If you get stuck, please come up and ask. And that's all I have for you for today.